On today's edition of the AGC Experience podcast, I'm going to be sharing a talk that I did with my mastermind group where we talked about diversifying your network. Many people think that they are networking because they're meeting with the same people every single week, the same 20 people. And when I ask them a little bit deeper and I say, well, how many women business leaders are you networking with? How many African-American businesses are you networking with? How many Latino business owners are you networking with? How many people from different generations are you networking with? Different across the state, across the nation, across internationally are you networking with? And we quickly find out they're just scratching the surface of networking. And today we're going to talk about diversifying your network.
My name's Travis Sims, and I am the founder and CEO of AGC Accelerated Global Connections. And this is the AGC Experience.
Banner season. It's about mailboxes, not inboxes. Building better relationships has never been easier. Using our platform, you can easily send a card and personalized gift to anyone with a simple tap or click. Or fully automated. Stop the digital overload and do something that will mean so much more. Banner season is the easiest way to wow people and the way for you to really get their attention. Develop stronger relationships, increase revenue, and improve your retention. You know you've reached an entirely new level when you inspire customer referrals and you don't have to consistently ask for them. For more information, contact Bo Young at 320-249-1576 or go to betterappreciation.com.
So today, we're going to talk about diversity within your network. We're going to continue this conversation. It's a conversation that we started last week at an AGC event. We're going to dig it really deep this today, and we're going to go in so deep that we're going to talk about not only races and religions and different schools of thought, and we're going to talk about gender. We're going to talk about age differences. We're going to talk about differences in types of networking. We're going to really find out how diversified your network is, because a lot of people tell me that I do networking. Oh yeah, I'm in a networking group. You know, I'm in, and I said, really? Tell me about that. How many networking groups are you a part of? Well, just the one. Really, just the one. And you think that you're networking. You're in one group with 20 people, and you think that you're networking. Maybe, and I want to be fair. I don't want to beat people up. If that's you, if I'm describing you right now, I just want to open your mind to the idea that you may want to expand your network beyond those 20 people that you're meeting with. And so let's talk about what that will look like and how to really grow exponentially using networking. And so let's see, we've got Sean Waite joining me from Hastings. Thank you, Sean, for tuning in and being diligent about participating. I appreciate you and all the extra advice and experience and sharing that you contribute to this mastermind group. So thank you for all that you do. Greatly appreciate it. So let's dig in just a little bit. And so the first one we're going to start with is women in business, okay? And I'm going to start with this one because when you look at the networking world and you think about networks, and let's just rewind just really a handful of years, and networks developed out of those good old boy clubs, right? And even if you look at the networks that are available today, they're largely represented by men in business. And so we're talking about, most networking organizations tend to be somewhere in that 70 to 75, 77% men versus women who are participating in networking organizations or networks. And I don't know what the statistic is, but I would be curious about what that is based upon the workforce as well. How many men are working versus how many women are working outside their home or have an extra additional type of business that they're managing or growing or participating in. So we're going to start with women, and you know what? They make up about 50% of the world. So if you are not networking with women, if you are not networking with women in business and you're not doing it with purpose, you're missing out on 50% of the population. Holy smokes, could you really afford to do that? And when I say networking, it's not just like, hey, This is, yeah, there's some women in the group that I network with. There's 3 or 4 of them in there, and I've got to know them. Really? Is that it? Is that really it? That you have 3 or 4 women that you network with, and you think that you're networking with women? Oh my gosh, some of the best business minds in the world are women. And we're getting ready, potentially. I'm not a political person. You won't hear me make political statements on here. But the news media is saying we have a new elect vice president, and it's going to be the first female in that office. And you know what, though? I want to look at even different countries, right? There are women leaders. I mean, look at the UK, and when you think about the queens that have been in the world, and women have been leaders for centuries. And so if you're not networking with women, you are missing out. I encourage you to connect with women leaders, to ask them the perspective, find out what it is that in your business that you're offering, what products or services that you have, how women view those products or services, how they view the messages that you're sharing, how they view the advertising and marketing that you're doing. Because are you limiting your potential as a business owner or a business salesperson because you're targeting men only and you're missing out on that 50% of the population? So women is number one. You want to connect with more women business owners. So next, we're going to talk about the African American community. Again, a huge community. And we're not talking about just in the US, we're going to talk about the globe when we're talking about networking. And so again, a lot of people think that they're networking because they meet with this little group inside their community, which is just down the street from them, within miles of them, and they're missing the state, they're missing the country, they're missing the world. But when the African American community is huge, and if you are not doing business, if you're not building a network, if you're not networking with this community, you are missing out. And some of the best brilliant minds in the world, some of the changing world changers, change makers, if you will, are in the African American community. And so I encourage you, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and it is my closing quote of the day, and that is, if you are networking with people who only look like you and think like you, you are not diversifying your network. It is time to diversify your network. So I encourage you to do due diligence, and I want you to work on connecting with the African American community and many others that we're going to talk about here today, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on any social platform that you are networking today. And I want you to engage in those. And I want you to start building relationships. And I want you to start diversifying your network so that you have that diversity within there. Because we're really talking about streaming relationships. We're talking about streaming referral opportunities. We're talking about streaming content and knowledge. We're talking about streaming new business from all these communities that we're going to discuss here today. Latinos. Okay, so Latino business. Again, if you're looking at, you're like, I think I'm networking. I go to this network meeting every single week. Really, how many Latinos are you networking with? Are you missing that portion of the community? Are you engaged with those businesses? Are you having conversations with those leaders? If you're missing out on this portion of the population, and I'm not, even let's set networking aside, let's just talk about income, right? If you're looking to drive sales for your business and you're missing this whole block of people in the population to market to grow from, that could potentially buy from you, you're segmenting out huge portions of the population that could do business with you because you're not paying attention, because you're only networking with people that look like you, that think like you, that do business like you. And this community of people have purchasing power. And I highly encourage you, so make that valiant effort to start connecting with more people in Latino businesses, okay? So now let's talk about the LGBTQ community. Now, here's an interesting one, and even the African American community, they have their own chamber of commerce, right? The LGBTQ community have their own chamber of commerce. And if this is a community of people that you want to be connecting to, because again, huge portion. And if you're in the Twin Cities, Twin Cities is one of the biggest cities for LGBTQ communities. And I'm proud to say one of my closest friends, the best man in my wedding, is in the LGBTQ community. And I love all people, and I have equal opportunity to do networking and build networks and build communities with all people. I want to diversify my network. So when I'm looking at, and we'll talk AGC for just a few seconds, and that's when we're looking at building AGC, we want to diversify the communities that are coming into AGC, the referral opportunities are coming into AGC. So, one of the things that I'm proud of is that our organization is about 50% men, 50% women, okay? We're one of the few organizations in the world that can say that. I mean, and it's because, I don't know how many times I heard Amy Tyson stand up in front of the room and say, I went to a networking thing after work, and it was in a bar, and it was in a dark place, and I got hit on all night, and I needed to take a shower afterwards. And that's not the place I wanted to network. I wanted a safe place to do it. And so AGC was born with the idea that this is a safe space for everyone to network, no matter what your race is, no matter what your gender is, no matter how you identify within your gender. And so I'm going to say again, guys, your networking business card should look like the one that's on this screen, okay? And it should have multi-levels of communities that you're networking with, all right? Multiple shades, multiple colors, multiple types of people that you're networking with should look like that card, okay? So consider the fact that you're missing out on so many people because you're not diversifying your network. Now, we're going to get into, this is kind of fun, because when people think about diversification, they automatically go to gender, they go to race, and they will go to LGBTQ and so on. And but we're going to talk about generations. All right. So let's look at the baby boomer generation, 1946 to 1964. And we're going to also lump in the generation Jones, born 1955 to 1965. Now, these generations, are you networking with them? So you might think, and because everyone's talking about we should be networking with millennials and this young tech group of new entrepreneurs and so on, but are you listening to and are you networking with people within the baby boomers and within the Jones generations? These generations, even, they're often in that CEO level. They're often in that high level management, and can provide you a perspective that you might be missing out on. How are seniors viewing what your product or service has to offer, your brand? Is this a target market for you? Are you using them as mentors, right? And could they potentially be mentors for you? And so this, again, is a huge opportunity for you to glean experience, to glean knowledge, to expertise. They've been there, they've done it. They've lived through a few recessions. They may have been in a part of a pandemic before, but they are someone you can glean that experience from. And then, so this is an opportunity for us to really, really dig in with people that have been there before us, okay? And if we go forward, there's that Generation X, born 1965 to 1980, that's me. So, we're in our 40s and 50s by now. I was born in 75, I'm 45 years old. And so we are that middle-aged group of people that have some experience under our belt. We have a lot to offer. We've been through a few things. We're hitting that mid-level management or above, and you want to reach out to those people. And then of course you've got the Xennials, born 1977 and 1983. And in pictured, let's talk about those millennials, okay? Everyone's talking about that we should be doing more business with millennials. Millennials are decision makers. And it's not just millennials. You know, what about Generation Z? Generation Z is now 23 years old. You know, they're exiting college right now, and they're going into the workforce. And these are the millennials, and the Generation Z are the new and upcoming business owners, salespeople, entrepreneurs. They're hungry. They're thinking different than our baby boomers did. They're doing things different than our baby boomers did. And so, guys, you have to be networking and diversifying your network in all of these different generations so that you are diversified with how your customers and how your referrals are coming in from all these different generations. Huge opportunity to learn from every single one of them. I can tell you, I know that, like my son's 27 years old. So he's in that millennial based age group, and you know he says things that I know he's not. Now I'm talking about my son. I'm not talking about other millennials. He's not quite grown up yet in some places. However, in other areas, I listen to him because he thinks about things differently than what I do. And if you're not listening to this generation, you are missing out on huge opportunities. So I encourage you to be networking with millennials and networking with Generation Z, the future of our country, the future of our small business and our entrepreneurs and salespeople and so on. So this is a huge opportunity for you to diversify in the generations of people that you're networking with, okay? So now let's talk about the different types of networks. And I think used this illustration in other places in when I talk about networks and networking. But again, you've got to diversify not only the type of people you're networking with, but also where you're networking with them at, right? Where are you networking with them at? And I'm going to blow this one up so you guys can see it a little bit better. And so first of all, we're going to talk about those close contact networks, okay? Master Networks, BNI, LaTip, Business to Business, Gold Star. These are one person per profession. They're very structured. They carry attendance, rules. They have, it's small groups. You're networking on average with about 20 people, okay? 20 people. You're seeing them weekly. You're diving those networks deep. You're building your relationships deep. You're digging into that tracking deep and so on. Close contact networks can be a great place for you to network with, but it shouldn't be the only place that you're networking with. Matter of fact, these type groups need feeders more than any other networking organization because you are tracking the referrals, you are tracking the relationships, you are tracking the business that's being done. Therefore, you're to go outside the group and bring referrals back in. You need a place to do that. You're going outside the group to bring visitors back in. You need a place to do that. And if this is the only place you're networking, you're going to struggle to provide referrals. You're going to struggle to provide visitors to this organization. Okay. Online social. This is where probably most everyone is networking. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so on, right? These are, even if you're not in business, you're in these. These are social networking. And it can't be the only place you network. I mean, think about how much ad space that you might run on Facebook and what the results are, but you could triple and quadruple that if you were in a network that was dedicated to introducing you. You're never going to beat that, okay? And so, but I'll also take a note from this because you're probably not just on one of these, right? I'm going to guess that you're probably on LinkedIn and you're on Facebook, or you're on LinkedIn and you're on Twitter, or you're on Facebook and you're on Instagram, and probably a lot of us are on all of these, okay? So help me understand how you think that I should be on all these social networks. I should be on all of them, but I only need one group to network with, right? That I'm only going to one BNI meeting a week. I'm only going to one Master Networks meeting a week, or whatever that is, right? Help me understand that. You think you should be on all these social medias places, but only one that you're in a network with, okay? So let's move on. Associations. This is where it's specific to your industry. So maybe, it's an association is where you sharpen your saw. It's where you share ideas. You're in the same industry. Maybe you have a slightly different target market or a different customer base because you're in different areas and so on. But you're able to share ideas. You're able to help one another. This is a great place for you to network. Okay. We're talking about service clubs. Rotaries, Kiwanis, Lions clubs, Optimist groups, and so on. And again, guys, these are not organizations you join to grow your business. So a lot of people make this mistake, right? They go, you know what, I wanted to do more networking, so I joined Rotary. All right, and yes, I've got them classified here as networking. However, it's not where you go to grow your business. It's where you go to give back. The focus of these organizations are not business focused. The focus of the organizations is giving back to the communities, helping other people, okay? Now, yes, you can get business from them inadvertently outside the meetings and so on. It's not the focus of those meetings. And so, but I love service clubs. I think that everyone should be in some type of service club so that you're giving back and helping your community. And then lastly, open contact networking. Open contact networking is where Accelerated Global Connections lies. It's where Chamber of Commerce is. It's where Networking After Work is, First Thursdays, and so on. And these organizations, there is not one person per profession. It's where you meet lots of people. In a face-to-face world, it's where you arrive and there's lots of people passing business cards. They're carrying wine. They're having conversations. If you need to meet realtors, there's going to be 10 realtors in that room. Right? And even online on Zoom or on live broadcasts or so on, there's going to be tons of them in there. And you're networking with lots of those people. This is the big pond, folks. This is the big pond. The rest of these are little ponds, and you go out to the big pond. And how do you pollinate the small ones? Right? You go out to the big one and you catch a big fish and you bring it in. And then you transfer it over and you move it to the small pond. Okay, and you continue to do that so you grow and pollinate the amount of fish that are in your small pond. So guys, this is huge. It's the place to go fishing. All right. So you're probably wondering, Travis, how do I choose? And you don't choose. You actually diversify. That's what we're talking about today, is diversifying your networks. We're talking about race, we're talking about different religions, we're talking about different ways of thinking, we're talking about gender, we're talking about lifestyles, we're talking about generations, and we're talking about different ways that you network. You must be diversifying to do more networking, okay? And so the signs that you need more diversity in your network: I network one place and think that I'm networking. The amount of my contacts that I see regularly is less than 100 people. My network, and I'm going to get ready to leave you with this, is all the people in my network look like me and think like me. These are all signs that it's time to diversify your network. You see, you think that you are focused on growing your business. You think that you have really been networking, because I've been a member of this organization for 5 years, for 10 years, and I see the same 20 people every single week, and you think that you're networked. And I'm going to challenge that thought for a minute, and I want you to really think about how you are networking, and are you diversifying your network? And if they all look like you, if they all think the same way you do, and it is these same 20 people, I'm going to say it's time to diversify your network. And with that, we'll see you back here next week.